Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Please check it, guys. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please check it. All of you get my voice on screen. Everybody, please respond for me. Right. Right. Good morning, guys. And check it what we completed in the last session. If we observe this point here, we are discussing about steps to prepare first JDBC application. In that steps to prepare first JDBC application, what we completed, if we observe this, overall, we completed download and install database software. That is like what there, Oracle 21xe database that I installed. Download and install Java software and its related softwares. Java software, then what next one here now? IDE I required. What is that IDE here we are using there now? Eclipse IDE we are using that we installed already. Next one, prepare JDBC application logic in a Java project. Just we have to prepare what there? JDBC application logic in a Java project. Inside this JDBC application logic, nearly 5 steps here we are having. What are the 5 steps here we are having there? Load and register driver, first step. Next one is establish connection between Java application and database. Next, create either statement or a prepared statement or a callable statement depending on our application requirement. Write and execute SQL queries, close the resources like what there, connection, statement, and so on. Out of all these steps, what we completed here, load and register driver part we completed. Next, establish connection between Java application and database, that part we completed. Next one is like what there, create either statement or prepared statement or a callable statement depending on our application requirement. Almost all we completed, but except one point, except one interview question, everything we completed about. This is a third one here. Let's see this third point here directly. Let's observe this third point here, what I discussed here. Create either statement or a prepared statement or a callable statement depending on our application requirement. If you observe this, now understand this clearly. In JDBC applications, after loading the driver and registration of the driver, and after establish the connection between Java application and database, then what is the remaining work for the developers? Just to write and execute SQL queries only. Remaining work for developers is what there? To write and execute SQL queries only. To write and execute SQL queries, we need some predefined library. JDBC API has provided the required predefined library in the form of 3 interfaces. What are the 3 interfaces here now? Statement, prepared statement, and a callable statement. Then immediately we are getting a question. What is that question here we are getting there? What is the difference between statement, prepared statement, and a callable statement? This question here we are getting there. What is the difference between statement, prepared statement, then what next one here? No, callable statement. This question here we are getting there. Fine. Inside this question, what is the answer here? Answer is very simple. Is just a high level information are given, but more internal details are available that I will discuss again when I'm going to introduce prepared statement, when I'm going to introduce callable statement. But here the point is what? When to use statement, when to use prepared statement, and when to use callable statement. If we observe these points now, answer is very clear. In JDBC applications, when we want to execute all the SQL queries, individual SQL queries, we have confirmed it. Every SQL query is a new SQL query only. It's not the requirement like same SQL query in the next sequence. All the SQL queries, individual SQL queries, if you want to execute, then we need to go for what their statement. There internally, what is that another point here I said to you, in the case of statement, for every SQL query, database engine will perform query tokenization, query parsing, query optimization phases separately for every SQL query. Even though the SQL query is a repeated SQL query, even though we are executing the same SQL query in the next sequence, but statement will perform tokenization, parsing, and optimization every time of SQL query execution. Leave it. Next one is in JDBC applications, when we want to execute the same SQL query in the next sequence, there to improve JDBC applications performance, we have to use prepared statement over statement. So here the point is, here the requirement is what there, I want to execute same SQL query in the next sequence. When we want to execute same SQL query in the next sequence now, if we use statement, then every time database engine will perform query tokenization, query parsing, query optimization phases. That is pre-processing of the SQL query. That could be done by database engine every time. But same SQL query, if we are executing next sequence now, every time tokenization, parsing, and optimization is not required. Why? Because one time execution of that SQL query to another time execution, we don't have any differentiation. We don't have any differentiation for it. So no variation is available about to perform query tokenization, query parsing, and query optimization from one time execution of that SQL query to another time execution. We don't have any specific, we don't have any differentiation here. So without having difference every time, what is the requirement to perform every time the same process now? One time performance is sufficient, then we can execute the same SQL query as many times as we require clearly. So because of that reason, if you use statement, that unnecessary work the database engine is doing, where performance of the JDBC applications may be reduced. Where to improve the performance, there we will go for like what their prepared statement we have to use. In the case of prepared statement, what is going to be happen there now? In the case of prepared statement, what JVM, what database engine is able to do now? Database engine is able to perform only one time query tokenization, query parsing, query optimization phase, only one time only. But any number of times here we are able to execute, all the number of times here we are able to execute this query tokenization phase. That means about this prepared statement. So only one time only pre-processing, but any number of times like what we are able to perform there now, execution of that particular SQL query, there automatically performance will be improved. After that, what next one here now? In database applications, which database logic we want to execute every time. In general, what we are doing there, we are sending the database logic from Java application to database, where database engine will execute the database logic. It will send some results back to the Java program. This is in general. But if the logic is executable for more number of times, frequently, if the logic is executable frequently, but what is the requirement to send the database logic totally from Java application to database every time, Kerno? So we don't want to go for it. So what is that alternative, Kerno? Permanently, we are going to keep the database logic at database only. When we require that from Java application, we will make a call to the database engine, just execute that logic, then send results back to the Java program. Right, sir. To keep database logic at database side permanently, there we are going to use stored procedures and functions at a database side. We need to go for what there? Stored procedures and functions. When a procedure or a function is available at database side now, to access that stored procedure and function from Java application, we need a statement. That statement is what there now? Callable statement. Callable statement is mainly for what purpose there now? to access stored processes and functions which are available at a database from Java application. I want to call the stored processes and functions from Java application. In general, stored processes and functions are going to be existed at a database side only. Because of this particular reason only, here we have to go for like what there callable statement as a point here as an alternative. All right, sir. Differences here we completed clearly. After completion of this difference, then what next one here we are doing there to create a statement in a JDBC applications in basic in very startup program. I'm going to use a statement only. When we have practice with the statement, no, then after that we will go for what their prepared statement. After that we will go for what their callable statement. They are the three individual topics only. All basic programming is going on with what their no statement. Next, somewhat after completion of some part of the JDBC, there we will go for like what their prepared statement. Then after that we will go for what their no callable statement. This is the story here what I am giving there. Guys, now try to observe this clearly. After completion of this, to create statement object in a JDBC applications, we have to use a method from the connection. We have to use a method from what they know connection. What is this connection actually? Java.sql connection. What is this method here we are using there? Public statement create statement throws SQL exception. Public statement create statement throws SQL exception. Example is what there? Statement st is equal to conduct create statement. Then immediately here also we are getting one important interview question. What is that question here we are getting there? In JDBC, Java.sql.statement is an interface. For interfaces, we are unable to create objects in Java. But how it is possible for create statement method to create and return statement object? Understood my question here clearly? The question is Java.sql.statement is an interface. In general, in Java, for interfaces, we are unable to create objects. For interfaces, we are unable to create objects. But how it is possible for create statement method to create and return statement object? That is a question here. Right. For this question here, we have to give answer clearly. What exactly the answer here we are able to provide? Now try to recognize this, guys. All of you know. Observe carefully. Answer is very clear. Try to understand it now. You know already answer here. Previously the similar question I have given there. Connection is an interface. How it is possible for get connection method to create and return a connection object? There, what is the answer we have given there? Answer is very clear. JDBC is an abstraction. That is collection of interfaces where connection is one of the interface. And its implementations are provided by all the database vendors as part of their database softwares. As part of the implementation of the JDBC abstraction, every database vendor must provide one implementation class for connection interface. Now here, in a driver manager class, get connection method is creating object for implementation class of the connection interface, and that implementation class object reference value is returning from get connection method. Clear? Similarly, in the same way, what is that next point here? I'm telling there. Now try to understand it. Similarly, in the next in the case of the statement also, what's the point I'm telling there? Observe carefully. JDBC is an abstraction. That is collection of interfaces. And provided by collection of interfaces provided by Sun Microsystems. And its implementations are provided by all the database vendors. That is, okay, implementations are provided by all the database vendors. This is in general the point here what we are having. Then what is this next point here? No? After understanding this, what is the next one here? All of you guys observe carefully. The next one is like what I'm telling there. Listen. Java.sql.statement is an interface provided by Sun Microsystems as part of JDBC abstraction. Java.sql.statement is an interface provided by Sun Microsystems as part of JDBC abstraction. Okay, and its implementation classes are provided by all the database vendors as part of their JDBC abstraction implementation. That's it. So this is the point here we have to understand. Java.sql.statement is an interface provided by Sun Microsystems as part of JDBC abstraction, and its implementation class are provided by all the database vendors as part of their JDBC abstraction implementation. All right, sir. Now here what we are doing after understanding this, now we are going to talk about that actual point. In JDBC, comma, in connection implementation class, actually create statement method is available inside the connection implementation only. Create statement method is available where, you know, inside the connection implementation only. Create statement method we called on top of what their con reference variable. Con reference variable is what their connection only. That's why I'm telling there in JDBC in a connection implementation class, create statement method is not creating object for Java.sql.statement interface. It is not possible. It is not possible since it is an interface. It is not possible as it is an interface. No, observe carefully. It's not possible. But rather, what it is doing there, rather create statement method is creating object for the database vendor provided implementation class of Java.sql.statement. Okay, now observe carefully in JDBC in connection implementation class, create statement method is not creating object for Java.sql.statement interface. It is not possible since it is an interface. Okay, but create statement method is creating object for the database vendor provided implementation class of statement interface, and create statement method is returning the generated Java.sql.statement interfaces implementation class object. I hope so. You understood my point clearly. What create statement method is doing. That you understood clearly. Create statement method is not creating object for what they know statement directly, but database vendors have provided implementation class for this statement. No, then database vendors provided implementation class objects are returned by this create statement method. That's the point, guys. Now let us see some pseudo code internally. What code is going to be available to represent this particular point here? If you observe this clearly, everybody must give some response for me. Try to understand it clearly. Now here, what I am telling now, public interface connection. For our clarity purpose, I am writing this is like what there java.sql.connection. Okay. Right, sir. Now here something is available. What something is available? Some methods are available where one of the method is what there public statement create a statement method is existed. Just it is method only throws a SQL exception. Just it is method declaration is available inside the connection interface. Not only this, some other methods are also be available inside the connection interface. Observe carefully. Now this is provided by whom? Now tell me. The package I have given java.sql. So it means that it is provided by whom? Sun Microsystems has provided this one. Nice. Next one, for its now implementation class is provided. Before this, what I am telling to you, observe carefully. Public interface java.sql.statement. Okay. Now here this is provided by again here what no Sun Microsystems. Now here some methods are available. Later we'll talk about these methods. Next, observe carefully. Public class oracle.jdbc. Observe carefully. Oracle statement IMPL implements statement. Guys, now tell me. Here, now tell me. This is provided by whom? Oracle vendor, Oracle database vendor. So implementation of all the methods of statements are provided here. JDBC dot Oracle dot JDBC dot. What is this actually? Oracle statement IMPL. But again, I'm telling there, this class name as it is may not be available in the Oracle implementation, but related code, model code here, I'm telling to you clearly. Understand it now. All right, sir. These two are existed already. One is provided by Sun Microsystems, another one is implemented by Oracle. That means Oracle database vendor. Similarly, MySQL statement IMPL may be existed. DB2 a statement IMPL may be existed. Depends on the database vendor content kernel. That's okay, fine. Now this is like what their connection interface. That's nice. Next one is after that public class Oracle dot JDBC dot. Then what next one you know? Oracle connection IMPL implements what next one you know? Connection interface. Guys, now I'm asking this question. Now this is provided by whom? Oracle vendor. That's okay. Now observe carefully. This is an implementation class of this connection interface. Am I right or not? So it must provide implementation for all methods of connection interface or not? It must provide implementation of all connection interface methods or not? Definitely here we have to provide implementation of all connection interface methods. Now observe carefully after completion of this. Then what next one here after understanding this? Here we have to provide implementations for this particular one. Public statement, create a statement throws SQL exception. Then inside this, what I'm telling there, some logic is available. Okay, then after completion of this logic, what's going to be happen? Statement test is equal to new. What we are able to provide there, Oracle statement IMPL object. Object is created like this. Statement st is equal to new Oracle statement IMPL. Then after that, what we have to provide there, return st. After that, what we are providing the return st. Now tell me, here really object is created for what class there? Object is created for what class there? Oracle statement IMPL. That is an implementation class of the statement interface. That object reference we assign to the interface reference variable or not? Interface reference variable. Now we return that interface reference variable. By seeing this interface reference variable that we return from create statement method, in general people are saying that statement object is returning from the create statement. I get my point or not? So statement object is returning from the create statement. By this people are understanding object is created for statement interface. But reality is what there? What's going to be happen internally here? No. Internally create statement method is not creating object for what there? Statement. It is creating object for what there? Implementation class of the statement. That implementation class reference value is assigned to what there? Interface reference variable. So when we return that interface reference variable, immediately people are thinking like what they know interface object is returning. But in general terminology is what there. If we create an object for an implementation class of an interface, no, in general terminology is what there. We can treat that object is that interface name. We can call that object with the interface name. Say connection, Oracle connection IMPL object we created. That's an implementation class of the connection interface. There in general terminology is what there. We can say connection object. Instead of saying connection interface is implementation class object, in general terminology is what there? Connection object. Yes, sir, got my point or not? Similarly, whenever we are creating an object of statement interface implementation class now, there in general terminology is what there? That is a statement object. I get my point or not? All right, sir. Now this is like what I'm telling to you. So implementation here. Now next year we have to provide like what there? JDBC application here we have to prepare. Now JDBC app. Now this is like what I'm telling there. JDBC app, JDBC application. Then inside this, what we are able to have there, public static void main string array args that we provided. For the sake of safety, application safety purpose here, we are using what there, SQL exception or simply exception. Simply exception, any type of exception here we are able to throw out from this particular method. Now here, what we are able to do there, then what are the statements here we are able to provide there. First one is class dot for name of driver, oracle dot jdbc dot, what next one here now, oracle driver. Now, but if you want to use this like this, no, we need to keep that OJDBC11.jar file in the class path. If you're using IDE, we need to keep that OJDBC11.jar file in the build path inside the Eclipse IDE. I will show that how to do this anyway. Then after that, after completion of this particular one, listen carefully. Next one is like what I'm telling to you. Connection con is equal to driver manager dot get a connection of, here we can go for all formalities here. What formalities here? JDBC colon, Oracle colon, thin colon, at the rate, localhost colon, 1521 colon, XE. Then after that, database username and password also be here. We have to provide. What is the database username and password here? System, comma, in my system, I provided what the Durga. In the installation of the Oracle database, here is specified like what there? System, comma, Durga. That's okay, fine. This is like what I'm telling there, connection object that we created now. Next one is we need to create statement here. Now observe carefully, statement st is equal to con dot create statement method. Statement st is equal to con dot create statement method. That's enough now. Now observe carefully, all of you know, when JDBC program is executing, when JVM is executing all the instructions, first JVM will execute like what there, con dot create statement method. What JVM is executing here, no, con dot create statement method. When JVM is executing like con dot create statement method, flow of execution will go to the con. What is that con actually? Right, connection implementation class here. Then we'll go for Oracle connection IMPL, where create statement method will be executed. Inside this, what's going to be happen there? Right, so now we are creating object for what there? Oracle statement IMPL. Object is created for implementation class of the statement, and its reference value is stored in what there, no statement. Now automatically statement reference value is written from create statement method. Automatically here we are able to get that statement interfaces implementation class object reference value to st variable, that we are getting clearly. Right, sir. This part is completed totally. With this here we can understand now. With this here we understood clearly how statement object is created. That's it, guys. Now this is an overall scenario here we can understand. Please, I'm requesting to everybody, all of you are following this content, no? The flow of executions, the total steps here, what I'm giving there. All of you are getting clarity on this? Right, sir. Without failure, try to understand all the points, no? All right, sir. Can I explain flow of execution again? Right. Now let's understand this now. When we execute JDBC application, first flow will come to what their main method. JVM will come to main method. Load and registration of the driver, we know already. Establish connection object is also we know already. Previously I explained that. Now we have to come for what they know, this statement. First JVM will execute con dot create statement. Then it will go to the connection implementation where create statement method is implemented. Go to what they know, right, create statement method in Oracle connection IMPL. Now inside this we are creating object for what their Oracle statement IMPL class. Oracle statement IMPL class is exist or not existed here now? Existed here now. For this we are creating object. Then the object reference value is assigned to what they know, statement now. The statement reference value we return from the create statement method. Automatically the statement reference value will come to what they know, this st variable inside our JDBC application. With this here we are able to get the total statement object clearly. Yes, understood? What's the point here I said to you? Understood this? No response. Okay, fine. Let's come for this one. Step number 3 is completed. Now we have to go for like what there, step number 4. But before that, let me talk about the step number 3. All right, so now here we completed like what there, almost 2 steps here we completed here in the diagram also. Now, okay, I'm going to use step number 3. What is that step number 3? Statement st is equal to con dot create statement method here we completed. Create statement. Statement st is equal to con dot create statement. Observe this. All of you observe this now. By this we are getting statement object. Nothing to show a separate block in the diagram. Just assume it statement is created. Okay. When a statement is created, after that, what is the next work for the inside the JDBC application? Whenever statement is getting ready, the next step is like what there? What is that next step now? Write and execute SQL queries. Write and execute SQL queries. Guys, all of you listen carefully. In a JDBC applications, listen carefully. To write and execute, SQL queries, we will use the following methods from java.sql.statement. Statement has provided a set of methods. What methods here we are able to use? Try to understand this clearly, all of you guys. First one is public result set execute query method, where string SQL query throws SQL exception. This is one method. Please check this method here. What's this method here I've given there? Public result set execute query string SQL query throws SQL exception. Number 2, public int execute update of string SQL query throws SQL exception. Second method. What is the second method here? Public int execute update string SQL query throws SQL exception. This is second one. Number 3, public boolean execute string SQL query throws SQL exception. This is another one. Overall, 3 methods are available. Understand, guys? What are the various methods here we are going to use to write and execute SQL queries? No, 3 methods from statement. What are the 3 methods here? Public result set execute query string SQL query throws SQL exception. Public int execute update string SQL query throws SQL exception. Public boolean execute string SQL query throws SQL exception. These are overall 3 methods which are provided by statement to execute our SQL queries. When we use prepared statement, no, prepared statement is providing some other methods to execute our SQL queries. When we use a callable statement, no, callable statement will provide some other methods to execute SQL queries or to access stored procedure or function. But now we are understanding what they know statement. Guys, observe carefully. Load and registration of the driver, initial step. Establish connection is also the second step. After establishing the connection, now we are in junction. What we have to use? Either statement or a prepared statement or a callable statement. Now at basic programming, we have taken statement path, where statement has given some methods to write and execute SQL queries. After a few days of time, I may go for a prepared statement. Prepared statement is providing some other methods to write and execute SQL queries. What these methods, what the functionality of that methods, we are going to understand in the future. Similarly, when we are talking about callable statement, there we are going to understand callable statement provided methods to write and execute database logic. But finally here 3 paths are available. One is a statement, other one is a prepared statement, another one is what they know, callable statement. Yes, all of you are getting my points or not? Now statement is providing what they know. Here statement is giving like what they know. The statement is giving some 3 methods to write and execute SQL queries. What 3 methods the statement is providing? They know execute query method, execute update method and execute method. Sir, all of you following my point or not? Now, very important interview question. In every JDBC interviews, this interview question will be asked. So everybody must understand this. What is this question actually? What is the difference between execute query method, comma, execute update method, and execute method in JDBC applications? What is the difference between execute query method, execute update method, and execute method in JDBC applications? Okay, right, sir. Shall we start? Can I start this interview question now? Right, and before this interview question, just one small announcement. Just I'm giving information before itself. Maybe this building is related to GHMC actually, right? Now we are taking the class that Maitrivanam, this building maintained by GHMC. The last 6 months or 1 year onwards, they are doing some renovation kind of things inside this building. So providing some power perfectly and giving some renovation kind of things are going on. So now the turn is coming to this block. Now already then in the besides room also they are doing some kind of work, right? Now the turn is coming to this block. They are given notice. They are given notice. Then about this, then we want to do some renovation work. Then please cooperate with us like this. They are given information yesterday. Official information, I got it. I thought of it previously. Definitely one day will come to us. That day there might be a bit earlier. They are giving intimation to me. Then the person who are working there in the besides room, I called one person. I asked this person to do then tiles work. Initially they want to do. Once tiles work is completed, max work is completed with us. All remaining works I'm not going to allow. Only tiles work is okay. They want to do some tiles works inside this room there for better maintenance as part of their protocols. They want to do some tiles work inside this block there. So I asked them, how many days work you are going to do with this? Within how many days you are going to finish the total work? How many days? After how many days of your work you have to start to use this room there? And I've asked there, but they said to me, hardly 4 days they want to take. 3 days sometimes they want to adjust this total tiles, no? Then 1 day is for the sake of like what I'm telling there for maintenance purpose. Overall 4 days they requested to us. So just I'm thinking about it. 4 days in the sense, then how it is possible without the classes? 4 days, no. Taking classes is my oxygen, right? Attending classes is also your oxygen, right? Then without oxygen, how it is possible 4 days of time? That's why I find one alternative. Just up to that 4 days, exactly on which dates they are going to do work here. And moreover, I have a right to reject that work as a owner of this, as a what I'm telling there, owner of this, not owner, rentee of this particular one. I can reject that implementation also, but it's a costable. I calculated it. If I reject it, and if I want to go for the tiles work, some kind of renovation work with my own interest, then it may be the cost of nearly more than 10 lakhs, right? The total work. That's why here I'm tempting for it. Moreover, if the tiles are coming there for our class, it will be there. Then we are going to see some good maintenance get inside the classroom there. That's why I allowed them. That's the reason here. So anyway, whatever it may be, what I am telling there, alternative, I find one alternative. What is that alternative there? Exactly on what 4 days they are going to work here. I'm unable to take class inside this one, but I can run the class there. How I can run the class there? I want to take the classes in online up to that 4 days. Then to be open, I'm telling to you, to be honest, I'm telling you, I don't like to miss the classes. At any cost, I need to take the classes. But even I'm thinking much about it. I'm not taking class on Sundays for you. Little bit thing is going on with me. Then very soon I'm planning for the Sundays classes also. But that 4 days, whatever the 4 days, our work is going on here inside this block now. Up to that 4 days, I want to take classes in online. Up to that 4 days, I'll give one open link to everybody. in that open link, then I'm going to conduct the classes here without failure. Okay, then 4 days, up to 4 days only, both advanced Java and as well as what their core Java. Both the classes I want to take in what their online only. Guys, observe carefully what I'm telling there. Once the 4 days are completed, I'll give official announcement tomorrow onwards, offline, online, and then we can come to this location then. Right, sir. Max, everybody might be habituated with online classes because of this pandemic, because of this corona effect is one of the advantage actually. In some peak situations, if you want to conduct some classes there, definitely that online classes is a good option at present here in the peak situation. Okay, then once again I'm telling there, my personal opinion on this online and offline classes, even as a trainer, my personal opinion is I will give more priority for, that means I will give my highest rating for offline classes only when compared with online classes. But still some people are attending in online. Why? Because they are not having option to come to this location to attend for the class in offline. That's why they are attending in online as a second option. But I'm requesting to every student to take the first option is what their offline classes only, but not possible for you. In the case if it is not, see, some people are attending from US and UK also there. From outside of India also they are attending. Outside of Hyderabad they are attending there. It's not possible for them to come here physically and to attend for these classes physically. That's why offline classes are not possible. That's why they are taking online classes now. Even for them also, I'm not saying like you're doing something wrong like this. No, I'm not saying that one. They're not having option. That's why they're attending through online. Of course, you can see some comfort zone in online classes also. So might be some time we are able to avoid the time waste kind of things. By traveling to this institute, by again moving back to your home from this institute, might be some time we are able to reduce. Moreover, only one person you can attend these classes in your room. That's okay. But where if you put more concentration over the classes, online classes are good. But if you want to get more concentration about our classes there, offline classes are very, very good. Anyway, that's the difference. The difference might be depends on the persons, that may be varied. But my personal opinion I'm sharing there. But for all of you, my personal opinion in the sense, when more members are sitting in front of me, I feel very happy. By seeing your faces, if I teach then that will be good thing for me. But in a single room, by seeing walls, by seeing windows, teaching Java in the sense is too much horrible. 2 years of time, because of the nearly out of 2 years of this pandemic, 1.5 year of time I have not taken classes because of this reason only. Then initially I started classes there. Actually, exactly March 21st, 2020, I think so. Our great Prime Minister has announced that lockdown in India, right? Am I right or not? Up to 21st, I have taken, I think up to 20th, I have taken offline classes there. Both offline and online, both are available for me. In the last 10 years onwards, I took the classes, offline and online at a time. At exactly March 2020, on a 21st date, announcement was happened. Okay, then that single day, I thought of it is a single day only. Where some stories are might be spreading throughout India. What stories there? Might be if one day if nobody is coming in outside there, that corona chain may be cut there. There itself it's going to be terminate. This kind of stories are coming there. We felt it is right. And even some people are giving information to me. Some students, I think, as part of my discussion, people are there saying there. Actually, why one day of gap was given by Prime Minister? No, on that one day, then our air defense, that people are sending some medicine throughout India there through aeroplane. That medicine is spreading throughout India. By the time we felt it, maybe that Prime Minister second time he elected there, he might be taking that step. Great step. We thought of it, but we are not having minimum compensations. By that medicine is not there for corona. See, so some rumors are going there. We thought like that. Finally, what happened there on that 21st March 2022 at evening 5 o'clock, I think so. He made 7 o'clock, I think so. He made an official announcement. Next 15 days, don't come outside. No, that 15 days, 15 days, 15 days, drag it up to almost all 1.5 year of time. By the time the batch which is in middle, actually, I continued that class in the next day onwards. 21st, I have taken gap. 22nd onwards, immediately when Prime Minister has given announcement there, we send a mail to all the students, try to attend in online. By the time people are wondering by seeing online classes there, it's the first time they're attending in online classes. Okay, I continued that classes there. Up to 1 week of time, I was enjoyed a lot. Before that, even I was sitting out of 1,000 members, in front of 1,000 members, I used to sit there. But all of a sudden, nobody is there in front of me in a single room. AC, of course, AC and all facilities are very good. And home food, home breakfast, home tea, and everything is okay, good. Up to 1 week of time, it's okay, good. After 1 week of time, gradually boring is started. And then I thought of it, I want to go some outside there. Actually, I used to walk every day. I want to go for walking in outside now. Two reasons are available. Reason number one, maybe Corona may come. Reason number two is what there, our police people are already playing IPL matches now. Even they don't think even if I say myself is Java trainer from Durgasoft, no, who cares about it by the time? The Corona is larger than you, then they are beating, no, right? Uh, Things are going on differently. Then by that, up to 1 week after it's okay. Getting boring. Forcibly, I completed that batches, no. After that, I said to Durga sir, I don't want to take classes like this, no. If people are there in front of me, then I'm going to try to take the class, no. But without in front of me, then how I can take the class, no? You're not aware about it. That the batches which I started here to complete the classes, what I have done there, my kids are vacant in my house now. I called all my kids there, just sit in front of me. Then I arranged some chairs there. My kids are sitting in front of me. I'm taking online classes. Meanwhile, my parents are coming there to this. At villages, they might be somewhat afraid. They're scaring about by seeing the situations there. I called them. Then with the police permission, I went there and I brought my parents to Hyderabad. Then even I asked my parents, no, sit in front of me, don't leave me. No. Then they are sitting in front. Nearly 6 or 7 members are sitting in front of me. Then I'm taking there. On Friday, my father came to me. What you are doing there? I'm not understanding anything what you are talking there. Why you are giving torture to me? Unfortunately, I came to Hyderabad. Every day morning, 7 o'clock, we have to sit here. Up to 1 o'clock, we have to sit here only. Without breakfast and see, then you are taking the classes, but I'm not understanding anything. I'm not supposed to attend your classes there. I'm totally getting boring. What you are saying, first of all, I'm not understanding it. Or somewhere else you are saying Java. My father is thinking about Java in the sense there is a milk product like rag Java or something else. No? Then so these are the horrible situations what I faced. That is one thing. Then an outside situation is for 1 week, for a weekdays, for 1 week of time, I went outside. I used to take even myself in the life first time. I went outside. I've taken vegetables for my house and milk packets from my house. Up to 1 week of schedule menu they are giving there. One time only. I think so. By the time morning 8:30 to 10 o'clock or some time duration they are giving us. By the time even my parents are not coming outside and children are also not coming outside, I've taken responsibility to come outside there. When I stand, see in front of the milk bowl, there is a big line. When I stand, even that milk boys are also not coming to our home by the time. Okay, I stand there. Unfortunately, because of some problem with my throat there, two times I had some what I'm telling there. Uh, then I have done it because of that cough there. Just to 2 minutes of time, I continuously giving such sounds there. All the surround people are going outside. Nobody is available, by the time. Okay, by that I understood that how much awareness is there in outside now. Uh, of course, but Corona is not leaving all the members there. Everybody, almost all, for every 5 members, 3 members are affected with Corona. They're one of my person. Or they're also myself is also another person. They're the situations, guys. Just I'm explaining the point now. Offline classes are always best. If it is possible to come for offline classes, better to come offline classes. Not possible to come for offline classes, then we don't have any other option there. Try to attend in online, but content is very same. Content is very same, and why? Because offline class streaming only I'm providing there. With some technology, I'm providing offline classes streaming. Then that will be good thing anyway. Right, guys. Now let's observe carefully. I think all of you are okay now. Can I start this question here now? Right, sir. Now, here I'm asking to all of you guys. That's okay. Fine enough. Right now, come for this point now. The next 15 to 20 minutes of time. Topic is very important. Next 15 to 20 minutes of time, the topic is very important. You should not divert from this class here. Don't divert from this class here. Put more concentration on this particular topic. Right, all of you ready? Right. Now let's start our content here. What is that point here now? What is the difference between execute query, execute update, and execute method. This is a question here. Right, listen carefully. Before this question, now I want to have some answers here. Some questions can need to ask. SQL queries are available. SQL queries, right? Can you tell me what are the various SQL queries in general? No? Select SQL query. Just regular SQL queries only. I don't want to go for too much terminology over Oracle related content. Just how much I required minimum. Right, sir. Select SQL query. Next one is what they know. Okay, in an order here, I want to discuss with you. First of all, here, what we have to do there, create SQL query. Next one is what they know, insert SQL query. Then after that, what next one can know, update SQL query. Then after that, what next one can know, delete SQL query. All right, sir. Then after that, create. Okay, after this create now, what next one can I want to provide? They know alert, alter, not alert, alter SQL query. Next one is like what there, drop SQL query. I get my point or not? Then next one is like what they know, select SQL query last. Yes, sir. Clear? These are the in general SQL queries here we are using. All of you get my point or not? Okay, now understand this clearly. All these SQL queries are divided into two groups. All these SQL queries are divided into what there? Two groups. What are the two groups of these all SQL queries now? First one is non-select SQL queries. First one is what there? Non-select SQL queries. Under this non-select SQL queries, what SQL queries are available here now? Create, alter, drop, insert, update, and delete. Non-select SQL queries. Then the second category is what there? Select SQL queries. Under the select SQL query, only one SQL query. What is this SQL query? No, select. This is one classification. Next, further classifications are available, but I don't require that really. But for the sake of your awareness, I'm telling to you. Again, these non-select SQL queries are divided into two groups. What are the two groups? Can know DDL. What is this DDL actually? Data definition language SQL queries. What are available under this DDL actually? Create, alter, then what next one can know? Drop. Next category is what there? DML. What is this DML actually? Data manipulation language. Data manipulation language. Under this DML, what queries are available here? No, insert, update, then what next one? No, delete are available. Now this is a classification, guys. Of course, in our Oracle, maybe some other TCL or maybe some other classifications are also available, but I don't require that now immediately. Up to how much knowledge I required for Oracle, that I'm able to discuss inside the classes now. Even if you're having 0% knowledge on this Oracle care, no problem. You can cope up with my classes there. And already shown there how to install Oracle database in our system. Right from Oracle installation onwards, I'm showing there. So we can understand easily the content here. Even if you're not having knowledge on Oracle, don't feel I don't know anything about Oracle, but Sar is using Oracle there. Required part I'm discussing inside the classes. Right. Next one is after that, after understanding this, okay, fine. Now this is a total like division of these SQL queries. No, I don't require DDL and DML immediately. In the future, I may talk about them, but as of now, I require what they non-select SQL queries. Then what next one can know? Select SQL queries. Is clear? All of you know? Right, sir. Now, this basic is required here. Now, just I want to keep this basic now. I want to keep this before this question here. Types of SQL queries. This is prerequisite part. Okay, leave this one. Now let's come for this point here. What is the difference between execute query, execute update, and execute method? Directly I'm telling you question to you. Understand my point here? Execute query method. What is the purpose of this execute query method? It can be used to execute. Listen carefully. It can be used to execute select SQL queries. Which SQL queries? No, select SQL queries in order to fetch data from database. But people may get some confusion here. In order to fetch in the sense like what there, read or retrieve. Read or retrieve data from what they know, databases. Understand it clearly what I'm telling to you? It can be used to execute SQL queries. Which SQL queries? No, select SQL queries in order to fetch. That means in order to fetch or read, in order to fetch or read or retrieve data from database. That's the main purpose of like what there, this execute query method. Okay, now here we need to talk about example here. What example here I'm talking there and try to understand it now. Result set rs is equal to st dot st is what there, st is what there, statement. Execute query method is available where, statement only. Right sir, execute query of select star from emp1 like this here I provided. This is my SQL query. Yes sir, got my point or not? Okay, now observe carefully. What happened when JVM execute this particular intersection? What happened when JVM executes the above instruction? JVM will perform the following actions. What actions it is performing there? That points here we have to understand. Listen carefully. I'm going to give some internal flow. Already we had diagram for JDBC. Yes, sir. All of you okay? No? Then here we are having diagram for JDBC. Now try to understand it. Now here step number 4 here we have to use, guys. Then what are the step number 4? No, write and execute SQL queries. To write and execute SQL queries, what methods are available here? No, execute query method. Then what next one here? No, execute update method. Then after that what method here? No, execute method. They are the methods here. Okay, fine. Leave this one. First here we have to understand like what they very first one, execute query method here we are understanding. Here I'm writing some intersection here. Now try to understand this intersection anyway. Result set rs is equal to st dot execute query of select star from emp1. This is the intersection now. Where I have written this intersection actually, this result set rs is equal to st dot execute query of select star from emp1. Where I have written that we have written inside what they know, Java application only. This intersection we have written inside what they know, Java application only. Listen carefully. Now here, when JVM executes this total intersection, JVM will take the parameter. JVM will take what their parameter. What is that parameter here? No, select SQL query. That select SQL query we provide in the form of string or not? Select SQL query. That means that select SQL query is available inside the Java program. From the Java program, the select SQL query will come. Then automatically that select SQL query will be given to the JDBC driver. Now it is a type 1 driver I'm telling there, but in place of type, if it is a type 4 driver, ODBC is not going to be available. Directly JDBC driver is available that will communicate with directly database engine. That's okay, fine. Right, sir. Now this SQL query will be given to the JDBC ODBC driver. Now JDBC ODBC driver will send that SQL query to connection in ODBC representations only. The JDBC ODBC driver will take that string, string is what their Java representation, double quotations is what their Java representation. It will convert that string SQL query into ODBC representations now. Now whenever this query was given to this connection here, now here connection will carry this total SQL query, and finally that query will be given to what driver here? No, ODBC driver. Now what is this ODBC driver actually? ODBC driver will take that ODBC representations and it will convert that ODBC representations into, database representations. Understand my point? JDBC ODBC driver will convert from Java to ODBC. That ODBC representations when we give to ODBC driver will convert that database representations from ODBC representations to database representations. The database represented code will be given to the, like what they know, database engine. Observe carefully. Now it will be executed here. Database engine has to execute that. Now you only tell me how database engine will execute that SQL query, what exactly the process it followed there internally. It followed clearly 4 phases. What 4 phases here it is following there? Observe carefully. First one is like what there? Query tokenization, query parsing, query optimization. Then after that, query execution. Observe carefully. Query parsing, query optimization. Then what next one here? Query execution. These 4 phases are performed or not? The database engine has to perform all 4 phases. What 4 phases? No, query tokenization, query parsing, query optimization, then query execution. When these 4 phases are performed by database engine, automatically database engine, as per the select SQL query, database engine is able to fetch some data from what they know database. As per the select SQL query, database engine is able to fetch some data from the database. That means it able to retrieve some data from EMP1 table. Assume it. Here EMP1 table is available. From the EMP1 table, it is fetching the data. Clear? Next one is what there. Whenever data is available in the database engine, the data is available in database representations. No, the database represented data will be given back to the ODBC driver. Now here, what this ODBC driver is doing here now, ODBC driver is converting that results from database representations to ODBC representations. That ODBC representations would be given to like what they know connection. The results are given to like what they know connection. Now what connection is doing here inside this now? Now here connection is able to transfer that results from ODBC driver to like what they know directly to what they know JDBC ODBC driver. What happened? JDBC ODBC driver. Whenever that results are coming back to the JDBC ODBC driver, that JDBC ODBC driver is converting the results from ODBC representations to Java representations. The Java represented data will be given to the Java application. The Java represented logic, the Java represented results will be given to like what their Java application. Guys, understand it. Actually, we executed what SQL query? Select SQL query. That means we are able to get records of data or not. We are able to get what they know records of data or not. Select star from EMP1. In EMP1 table, how many number of SQL queries are available? How many number of records are available? All records here we are able to get. All records here we are able to get. Am I right or not? Finally, all records here we are getting into the Java application. And now tell me, Java is an object-oriented programming language or not? Come on, guys. Java is what there? An object-oriented programming language. Means that every data must be represented in the form of objects or not? As an object-oriented programming language, every data must be represented in the form of an object or not? Now understand this clearly. Here data is available in the database. Records of data is available in the database. Because of our select SQL query, because of that execute query method, select SQL query was submitted to the database engine through the JDBC driver and connection. Now database engine has executed that select SQL query. It fetches the data from database now. Whenever the data is fetched from database now, that fetched data again given back to the Java application. At Java application, the total fetched data has to be managed. Java is an object-oriented programming language. Everything it has to represent in the form of what they know objects only. Everything it has to represent in the form of what they're objects only. Here also be that fetched data from database has to be represented in the form of an object or not. Whatever the data which was fetched from database now inside the Java program, that must be represented in the form of object or not. All right, sir. Now exactly now JDBC program is storing that fetched data in the form of an object. In the form of an object, the total data was fetched. Whatever the data which was fetched there, the total data was stored here now. Fetched data will be stored in the form of an object. Now the object what JDBC application is creating to store that fetched data, that object is called as like what they know a result set object. Please confirm to me, what is result set object actually? What is result set object now? Result set is an object in JDBC. Result set is not related to core Java. Result set is related to what they know? JDBC. Again, the same point. Result set is an interface provided by Sun Microsystems as part of JDBC abstraction, and its implementation classes are provided by all the database vendors as part of their JDBC abstraction implementation. In which way connection interface is available? In which way what there no? In which way statement interface is available? In the same way, what interface is available? No, result set interface is available. For each implementation class are provided by whom? Database vendors. Now here, execute query method is creating object for the implementation class of the result set interface and returning that object reference to outside. Now anyway, whatever it may be, data we fetched from database, that fetched data we stored in Java program in the form of an object. That object is called as what? There, result set object. Now whatever the result set object is created, that result set object value, reference value is written by execute query method as a return value. Execute query method is returning what they know, the generated result set object reference. That's why here I'm going to give that reference value for this is like what there, rs is like what there, reference value. Here we can understand. Now this rs in the sense like what the return value of this execute query method, that value will be stored inside like what there, rs variable. Now here we are getting result set object. Yes sir, all of you are getting my point or not? Once the data is available in the result set object, then we know already some mechanisms to read the data from result set object to use the data in our JDBC application. Yes, sir. All of you get my point. No? What we are going to do maximum there no? In Java program, when result set object is created, what we are able to do in general, no? Just read the data from result set and display the data to the user. I get my point or not? Read the data from result set and display the data to the user. Displaying the data to the user, maybe multiple forms are available. On a console, we can display the data directly by using system.out.println, or maybe some GUI program. We can display the data through the GUI program, maybe Swing or maybe Java FX we can use to display the table data in a user understandable format. No, maybe if it is a servlet program there, and we can send the data through the JSP pages to the user. Understand my point here? Multiple ways are available here, but that is later on discussion here, not required now. So in this case, what we have to understand up to now, what we have to concentrate here up to now, getting result set object only we have to concentrate. How to read data from result set object? In the practicals, I will explain to you how to do that. Where some methods are available. Just if you understand that methods, there we are able to read the data from result set. But now here we have to understand whether we are getting result set object or not. Execute query method is returning result set object or not. Up to that only here we have to understand clearly. Yes, all of you are getting clarity up to this point now? Right guys, that's fine now. Next one is after that. So what we completed here, how to execute query method, how it is going on there, up to this point here we understood. Guys, now let's understand this clearly. I want to give some points here. What are the points here I'm telling there? Now try to, just if I'm giving any wrong, then try to correct me anyway. Right, so now first of all, JVM will take the provided select SQL query and JVM will send that select SQL query to whom get that select SQL query to database engine through JDBC drivers. And generalization I'm telling there, I'm not specific to type 1 driver, get generalization through JDBC driver and connection, database connection. Through database connection JDBC driver, that SQL query will be given to the database engine. Yes, sir, got my point or not? Directly I'm giving a step, directly query went to send it to database engine. All right, sir. Then what is the second point here I'm telling to you? Observe carefully. The second point here I'm telling to you, at a database engine will execute that select SQL query. Okay, database engine will fetch the data from database table, and database engine will send that fetched data back to Java application through JDBC driver, and connection. Understand? Yes, what I'm telling to you. Clear cut information at a database engine will execute that SQL query. Database engine will fetch the data from database table, and a database engine will send the data, that fetched data, back to Java application through JDBC driver and connection. Now what's the third point? You know how to represent the data. All right, sir. When fetched data is coming to Java application, when fetched data is coming to Java application, JVM will store that fetched data in the form of an object, called as, what they know, result set, called as what their result set object. Right, sir. Here our responsibility is what they're just storing the data inside the result set object. That's it. But how to read data from result set object, I will discuss later on, not immediately. How to get data from result set object, there is a story. The one diagram I want to show, through that I have to explain that, but in the right time I will discuss about the topic. All right. Finally, we completed one method, guys, out of 3 methods. What method can we completed there? What method can we completed? To write, first of all, tell me, to write and execute SQL queries, how many methods are available in a statement now? 3 methods. What are the 3 methods now? Execute query. Next one is what there? Execute update. Last one is what there? Execute method. Now execute query method can be understood. Execute query method is mainly for what SQL execution? What SQL queries execution now? Execute query method is mainly for executing what SQL queries now? Select SQL queries. When we execute that select SQL query with execute query method, JVM will send that select SQL query to database through JDBC driver and connection. Database engine will execute select SQL query. It will fetch the data from database table. That fetched data is given back to the Java application. At Java application, that fetched data will be stored in the form of an object. That object is called as what they know? Result set object. Now this result set object is written by execute query method. Clear? This is going to be happen internally when we execute select SQL query with execute query method. Nice. Next one is what is that section? Next option here, no? Observe carefully. Next one is execute update method here. Next one is like what there? Execute update method. Execute update method. What exactly the purpose of this execute update method? All of you observe carefully. It can be used to execute non-select SQL queries. It can be used to execute non-select SQL queries in order to perform the database operations, like creating table, like what they're creating table. Next one, altering table. Next one is a dropping table. Okay. Next one is like what there, after completion of this dropping table. Right, dropping table. After completion of this dropping table, next one is what there, inserting records in a database. Next one is after that updating data in a database, deleting records from database. Okay, and so on. Non-fetching, non-select SQL queries. Simply speaking, this is what exactly the purpose of like what there execute update method. Some example here I have to discuss that. What is that example here I'm telling to you? Now try to understand it. No, int row count is equal to st dot execute update of. I need to write one update SQL query anyway. What's that update SQL query I'm writing there? Anything, maybe create table or maybe update or insert, whatever it may be. Example, I'm going to take what there no update SQL query. Update. What we have to do there? Update EMP1 set ESAL is equal to ESAL plus 500, where ESAL less than 10,000. Some SQL query. Anyway, no need to think too much about this SQL query. Just so you can understand, one update SQL query I have written. Update EMP1 set ESAL is equal to ESAL plus 500, where ESAL less than 10,000. The employees, those are having their salary less than 10,000, for them I'm giving 500 increment. Simply speaking, that's a SQL query here. I have written that. Right, sir. Now let's understand this. When JVM executes the above SQL query, when JVM executes the above SQL query, JVM will perform the following actions. When JVM executes the above instruction, then JVM will perform the following actions. What exactly the actions which are taken by JVM here? What exactly the actions here which are taken by JVM? Now try to understand this clearly. I'm going to show again that flow of execution, guys. In the first select SQL query, if you're missing anything like this, now understand it again, get the same flow of execution, no? Almost a similar flow of execution, but results are somewhat different. Right, sir? Now, let's understand this flow of execution. Now here, I want to write one SQL query. What is this SQL query here? I'm going to write now. Int row count is equal to st dot execute update of. Now here I have to write like what there? Update EMP1 set ESAL is equal to ESAL plus 500, where ESAL less than 10,000. Right. So now this is my SQL query. Observe carefully. When JVM execute this particular instruction, immediately JVM will take the parameter of this particular execute update method. What is that parameter? Actually, SQL query. That parameter is what they know, update SQL query. Now immediately JVM will send that update SQL query to JDBC ODBC driver. JVM will send that update SQL query to JDBC ODBC driver. It will translate that SQL query from Java representations to ODBC representations. Now that ODBC representations are given to connection. ODBC representations are given to what they know, connection. Now connection will carry that update SQL query to ODBC driver. Connection will carry that update SQL query to what they know, ODBC driver. ODBC driver will convert that SQL query from ODBC representations to database representations. Alright, sir. Then whenever that ODBC is getting that SQL query, then it will give that SQL query to database engine. Will give that SQL query to what they know, database engine. Now database engine has to execute this particular SQL query or not. To execute this particular SQL query, now database engine is performing some actions. What actions it has performed here? That actions are as is. What actions you know? Query tokenization, query parsing, then query optimization, and query execution. All the three actions are performed here. Observe carefully. When it performed some operations there, automatically database engine, as part of query execution phase, database engine will perform updations on the table. Database engine will perform updations on what they know, table. How many records are updated here with our SQL query? Let's say, for example, 10 records are updated. With my update SQL query, how many records are updated here? No, 10 records are updated, for example. When 10 records are updated at a database now, immediately database engine will get that count, the number of records which are updated, that count will be calculated. That count value will be sent back to the Java program. Whenever it is getting that number of records which are got updated, let's say for example 10 records, no, the 10 value would be identified by the database engine. When the row count value 10 is identified by database engine will send database engine will send the 10 value. Database engine will send the 10 value to the ODBC driver. 1 minute, sir. Okay. The database engine will send the 10 value to like what they know, ODBC driver. Now here, what ODBC driver is able to do now, ODBC driver is sending the 10 value to what they know, connection. Now here, connection is sending the 10 value to whom they know, JDBC, ODBC driver. Finally, the 10 value is coming to like what they know, JDBC, ODBC driver. When the 10 value is coming to the JDBC, ODBC driver, now JDBC, ODBC driver will submit the 10 value to what they know, JDBC program. In JDBC program, that integer value 10 will be stored in a variable. That variable is called as like what they know, row count variable. Row count, how many rows are updated, no? That row count value is available. That row count value will be available inside the JDBC program. Whatever the integer value, row count value is written there, is provided here inside the Java program. That row count value is written by execute update method. The row count value is written by what method? Can no, execute update method. Now execute update method is returning that row count value method to the row count variable. Then after that here we are able to get the row count value. Then we are able to display the row count value to the user. Because of your update SQL query, how many records are got updated in the sense 10 records are updated. That information I can specify to the user. Yes, sir. Got my point or not? Now this is the internal flow of execution of what they like execute update method. Execute query, execute update method, both are almost all same here. But execution will give some results. That results are different. In the case of select SQL query, result set object here we are getting. In the case of update SQL query, row count value here we are getting. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my point or not? Right, sir. That's okay, fine. Next one. This is one point here. Now let's move on to the content here. What I've given there. Now tell me here what JVM is doing there. Again in the form of 3 steps here. I'm going to complete it now. Number 1. JVM will send the provided non-select SQL query. Provided non-select SQL query to database engine. Database engine through JDBC driver and connection. That is first point here. JVM will send that SQL query to, that means they send the provided non-select SQL query, non-select SQL query to database engine through JDBC driver and connection. Okay, now this is completed. Then after that, what next point here? After completion of this here, second one is like what there? At database engine will execute that non-select SQL query and non-select SQL query, comma, database engine, that means comma, performs some updations on a database engine, on database table, and identifies the number of records which are affected, identifies the number of records which are affected, that is row count, and database engine will send that row count value to Java application through like what there, JDBC driver and connection. Right, meaning is available. Now try to understand this meaning here. At database engine will execute that non-select SQL query, perform some updations on database table, and identifies the number of records which are affected, that is row count, and database engine will send that row count value to Java application through JDBC driver and a connection. All right, sir. Then what next one here? No, after completion of this, third one here, at Java application, the generated row count value generated row count value will be returned by execute update method as an integer value. That's it. Whatever the row count value is generated at database side, no, the total row count value will be returned by execute update method as an integer value. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my points, no? Now this is like what I'm telling there, no. This is exactly like what there, no. Execute update method execution. Clearly, this is what there, no. Execute method orientation. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my point or not? Okay, fine. Execute update method content. Next one, after completion of this execute update method, total 3 points are given there about this execute update method. The flow of execution also we understood there. Then after that, what next one here we have to do there? One more method is remaining. Last method is remaining. What is this last method here? No, execute method. What is the purpose of this execute method? Right, sir. Execute query method. Then what next one? No, execute update method. Last method is like what there? No, execute method. Execute. First, understand the purpose of this execute method. All of you observe carefully. It can be used to execute both select and non-select SQL queries. Execute query method is for what purpose? There no select SQL queries execution. Execute update method is for what purpose? There no non-select SQL queries execution. But execute method purpose is what? There no. It can be used to execute both select and non-select SQL queries. Get my point or not? Okay, fine. Now, next point. If we execute select SQL query through execute method, then execute method will return true value. Observe carefully, all of you know, understand it here. While writing the prototypes also, execute method return type is what there? Boolean. Execute query method return type is what there? Result set. Execute update method return type is what there? Integer. Now the return type of this execute method is what there? Boolean. So what is the meaning of it actually? Right, sir. If we execute select SQL query through execute method, then execute method will return what value? True value. All right. This is one point here we have to understand. Next one is after that, if we execute non-select SQL query through execute method, then execute method will return what value? Can know false value. Execute method will return what there? False value. All right, sir. Observe carefully. Now, I'm giving that methods examples here. I'm telling there. First one is like what there? Boolean b1 is equal to st dot execute of select star from emp1. If you write like this, and here if you provide sysnut.out.println of b1, if we display there, here we are able to get what value here? No, true value here we are able to get. Next, another example. Boolean b2 is equal to st dot execute of the same non-select SQL query, any SQL query, non-select SQL query. Now we have taken example like update every time here. So here I'm taking that update SQL query, update emp1 set ESAL is equal to ESAL plus 500, where ESAL less than 10,000. For example, if I write this SQL query, okay, if I write this SQL query, now here what we are able to get after that, here I want to display sysnut.out.println of b2. If we display that b2 value, here what is that output here we are able to get? There no false value here we are able to get. False is a value here we are able to get. Understand it now? So two examples I have given. One is execute method with select SQL query. Other one is execute method with what they know, non-select SQL query. These things here we are getting. Next remaining thing is what there. I have to explain the same thing in diagram here. Flow of execution here I have to provide. In flow of execution here, the same flow of execution is going on here, but internally what happened that we have to understand clearly about this now. So okay, fine now. Anyway, then time is not sufficient for it now. These points I will discuss with you again and tomorrow. That means what there execute method implementation I will discuss there. Once we completed this part here, then last one is like what there close the resources now. Then it's a matter of like 15 to 20 minutes of time it will take there. Then after that tomorrow I will start to prepare first program. First JDBC program we are going to start. The practicals we are going to start from tomorrow onwards. So without failure, try to attend for these classes there. So the steps if I complete there overall, then I will start directly what they know that the flow up. That means directly first application. First JDB is application for creating table. Next JDB is application for inserting records. Next JDB is application for updating the data. Next JDB is application for what they're deleting data. Next JDB is a program for dropping the table. Continuously 6 or 7 number of examples we are going to do one by one. So without failure, try to attend for the classes and tomorrow. All right, sir. Kindly waiting for program execution. No? Getting boring on theory. Right, sir. But theory is important, guys. Then once again, I'm telling them, please try to change your mindset. If no theory, even though if you learn programming, no confidence. With theory, if you learn programming, full confidence. Understand it, but don't neglect the theory. See, without knowing all these points, how I can prepare first program? Directly on first day itself, if I start programming, no, even you are not going to understand single point. What is driver? What are all these methods? Without understanding all, how can we understand this programming part? No, it's not possible here. Programming language is like mathematics. If you know the formula, mathematics is very simple. If you don't know the formula, mathematics is too much headache. Here also the same principle here. If you know theory, programming is very simple. If you don't know theory, programming is too much difficult. You don't know why we are writing statement, why we are writing connection, why we are writing all these instructions can. But without knowing all this, how can I write that program there? That's the reason why here I'm telling there clearly. But theory is important. Along with the theory, programming is also be important here. Both we are going to understand clearly. Right, sir. Good. All right, sir. That's fine. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll see the remaining content, and I will share these notes on tomorrow totally. Total of completion of first application, I will share this document. Right, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.